Thank you, Cliff. Thank you for those kind words. Welcome to the beginning of the comeback, CPAC 2009. It is such a thrill to be with you today. And I want you to join me in welcoming a school teacher I've been married to for 24 years, who is somewhere in the crowd, but I know she's the best looking woman there. My wife, Karen Pence, in the room. As I stood on that cold January day atop the grassy hills surrounding the fort, in the theater of my mind, I could almost see the Armada sailing up the river, hulls overflowing with the pride of having sacked the capital of a young country with little opposition. But the long night would not end as they hoped. There, amidst those earthen barricades, a small, determined band of patriots would save a resolution because they would not yield. I stand before you today at a historic moment in the conservative movement and for this great country. The coming weeks and months may well set the course of this nation for the next generation and beyond. This administration and Congress are barely a month old, and already the problems facing this nation have grown in magnitude, eclipsing the ones the nation faced when voters cast their ballots in November. How we as conservatives respond to these challenges could well determine whether America retains her place in the world as a beacon of freedom, or whether we slip into the abyss that has swallowed much of Europe in an avalanche of socialism. While some are prepared to write the obituary on capitalism and our movement, I believe we are on the brink of a great American awakening, and it will be conservatives that lead it. Starting here, starting now. I can feel it. I can hear it. Our nation's founding revolution itself began with rumblings of discontent. Back home in Indiana last week, I heard it, along with a lot of straight talk and common sense. You know, Hoosiers recognize pork when we see it. And they recognize what bailing out every failing business in America means. We're burying generations under a mountain range of debt. You know, one Indiana farmer walked up to me at a town hall last week in Newcastle, Indiana. He summed it all up when he put his hands in his pockets, said, "Congressman, what you're hearing out here is a whole lot of frustration." That wise man summed up the feelings of millions of Americans. I couldn't have said it better myself. And we have reason to be frustrated. On Election Day, only 22% of Americans describe themselves as liberal. And yet voters sent to Washington, D.C. the most liberal one-party government in our nation's history. So what happened? Well, the truth is, Republicans didn't just lose a few elections. We lost our way. We walked away from the principles that minted our national majority. And the American people walked away from us. So we're in the wilderness, and the only question now is, what are we going to do about it? And there's a lot of advice out there, some of it even from Republicans. We keep hearing that Republicans have to come up with new ideas. We have to use new technology and take those ideas to voters who haven't been coming our way lately. Well, I say yes, of course. We have to offer positive alternatives. Yes, of course, we need to take our message to every community in America, regardless of race or creed or color. But more than anything else, let me be clear. We need to be willing to fight for freedom and free markets and traditional moral values. That's what the American people want to see this movement and this party return to. We need to be the loyal opposition. You know, we should support the President and his party in Congress whenever principle permits. And we should vigorously oppose the administration and the liberal Democratic majority every time consistency to principle demands, regardless of the polls. You know, after an election defeat, Winston Churchill described kind of our situation and the duty that's before us. He said, and I'm quoting now, "It is the duty of every English party to accept defeat cordially, to do their best endeavors to secure the success or neutralize the evil of the forces to which they've been forced to succumb." And then he added, "It's good that we have no wish to be unfaithful to so wholesome a tradition." Well, let me say this emphatically. As the chairman of the House Republican Conference, neither do we. Republicans will be faithful and loyal in our opposition to the liberal Democratic agenda from the White House to the Capitol. Just like we did on the Porculus bill. Every single House Republican voted against it, not once, not twice, every single one. You know, the time to go along to get along is over. Ended Tuesday night. Margaret Thatcher used to say it well. She said, "First you win the argument, then you win the vote." You know, we lost that legislative battle. But we won the argument. Because Republicans